Good morning. We're going to get started. We're going to get started with the rural development program. I have the honor to introduce somebody that really needs no introduction, our friend Jacki. But just to go through her bio a little bit, it's very long. I'm going to do a condensed version. You'll all know her. It's Jacqueline Ponti-Lazaruk, which we affectionately call Jacki, some Ponti. She's the Assistant Administrator of the Water Environmental Programs at Rural Development that she started in 2008. She has managed and improved the programs there. She's responsible for all policy and implementation, including the appropriations for the programs. Under her reign, she has done $12 billion in loans and grants that assisted over 17 million rural Americans. She was also responsible for the over $20 billion received during the Recovery Act as part of the stimulus package, in which she delivered at a record time, almost killed her employees. But she did. She beat the previous stimulus record and with less staff, and that was a major accomplishment. The people worked hard. Prior to that, she was the Assistant Administration for the Telecommunications Programs, which includes the broadband program that she worked very hard on to help implement rural access to broadband. She spent many years at the Federal Communications Service before that. She's a graduate of James Madison University in the mountains of rural Virginia, a beautiful place. She's married to James and has a daughter named Abby that you usually hear. And I can't say enough about this lady. She's been an advocate for rural communities. Many of you personally know her. Just in my time working on the Hill and at Department of Agriculture, we've never had a better advocate or someone that worked harder. I mean, I've called her at 9 o'clock at night to leave a voice message. She jerks the phone up, calls you going to South Carolina last week. She's a tireless advocate, and I want y'all to give her a really good applause. She's going to have an open type forum, and she's going to expect questions. Jacki Ponti.
Good morning. You know, my boss was up here speaking yesterday. He said, the lights are really shining, you can't see anybody, but I can see you pretty good, so I'm happy. These are my glasses for when we go to the Q&A section so I can see you better. These are my long glasses, so don't be offended. Before I get started, does everybody have one of these in your hot little hands? If you do not, where's my team who has these? Jim Weir in our front row will get you one of these. It's an invitation to room 16 anytime between 11 and 5 to check out our new electronic filing system, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So this morning what I'd like to do is just give you an update on where things are with the program and give you an opportunity to ask me some questions if you have some. Hopefully not too hard of questions, but we'll see. So my name is Jacki Ponti-Lazaruk. As Bill said, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Sam, all the board members for inviting us once again to come and speak to you. You know, I have the greatest job in the federal government, and I mean that with all sincerity. I wake up every day, I get to do a lot of good, I get to work with all of you, and it's a pleasure. It's really a pleasure. Yesterday, President Hilton said, you know, this is the best of the best, talked about this association being a family, and it feels like that. It really does. And it feels like that for our water programs in Washington, D.C. as well. This group is passionate, and so are we. This group cares about the communities they serve, and so do the folks all across the country working for rural development and supporting you. A lot has been accomplished with these partnership between all of you, our programs, our colleagues at EPA and their state revolving fund programs, our colleagues at other federal agencies who support water and waste infrastructure, and just sustainability across rural America. So as Bill said, you know, just since 2009, $12 billion in investments, 12 billion, right? 17 million people impacted by it. It's incredible. And we're very, very happy to be able to make those investments. One of the most exciting things for me is when I get to go out and I get to see those investments in practice. And yesterday we got to drive out to Grady Rural Water here in Oklahoma. And we met Paul Jones. He's their manager, their general manager. Just the nicest guy. We met their operators. They've got 4 operators. And it was a pleasure to hear them talk about their project. It was a pleasure to hear them talk about the loan. They took a $12.5 million loan under the Recovery Act at a time when interest rates were low. They were able to build out to all of these customers who had less than great service. They were actually buying water from a city who didn't have as good quality of water as this system was able to find within their territory. So they found a cost-effective way to deliver quality service. They've reduced their leaks. They were losing 45% of their water, nearly half of their water. And that number has come dramatically down, and they continue to work at it. And the best part of yesterday was they have a woman, gosh, now her name escapes me, but she was brand new yesterday. It was her first day. And when we get the photos, we made her take a picture with the administrator. So how often on your first day does the administrator of the Rural Utilities Service show up to congratulate you on joining the staff of a Rural Water Association? She was a little shaken by the whole thing. But it was wonderful. And what I was very excited about was the foresight of this manager. His operators were operators who were not new completely to the industry. He picked up some from other systems, and others they've trained up. But 2 things. One, he found some younger operators because he's thinking about the future of his system. He's trying to make sure he can train enough people that can run the system well into the future. And the second thing he said was he convinced his board to pay them and pay them well so that they would stick around. That is a critical, critical component to the future of our rural water systems. So I know a lot of you are doing the same things for your systems and in your state, so thank you for that. 2015, great year for our program. Terrific year for our program. We were so excited. You know, we're not quite done. Tomorrow is our last day of our fiscal year. We are feverishly processing those last few loans that keep coming in. We're going to end up the year somewhere between $1.6 and $1.7 billion invested this year in new construction and technical assistance. And over $1.1 billion of those dollars will be loan dollars. Loan dollars, affordable loan dollars. We had plenty of projects that came in, took advantage of it. Is there anybody in this room who got a loan from USDA this year? Hands up. There's got to be a few because we did 800 transactions. Okay. Well, if you didn't, we're going to talk to you in a little bit. 560 loans, 857 grants, 1,400 transactions this year. 2.2 million residents will benefit from the new infrastructure that's being built. And in recent years, we've committed to getting to those areas and helping those areas that, are struggling economically or just don't have the capacity to get started. And so last year and this year, I committed certain funds to do pre-planning grants and what we call our search grants for really small communities, very economically challenged communities. This year we did 190 search and pre-planning grants to poverty and unserved areas. $4.7 million. It's a big investment. And our expectation is that each one of those grants will translate into a project. We'd like that project to come to rural development. But you know what? As long as it gets infrastructure updated in rural America, I'm happy with that too. Where's Kent Evans, who's saying, no, don't say that, right? If you talk to Kent Evans, you're coming to us. I know that. But my goal and where my focus is on the result in rural America. We want to make sure that the rural water network is strong and sustainable well into the future for a variety of reasons that you've heard from all the speakers this week, so it's important. For those of you in states along the southwest border, we did projects, $26.4 million in projects, 11 projects down along the border. We did 20 projects for $26.5 million for Native American tribes, specific to Native American tribes. So they are separate from our direct program. We have other projects in that bigger number that serve tribal members, but these were our specific set-asides. And in rural Alaska, we're going to do about $26 million by the end of tomorrow, and that's impressive. What that means is we're committed to serving all of rural America. We have those communities who need a little bit more, a little more help and a little more hand-holding, and then we have all of rural America that we serve with our direct program. As in past years, circuit riders have been really critical. It's my pleasure, you know, we get prepared for these hearings that come up on the Hill, and I'm always asked to do what they call hot topics, right? So hot topics are you try to guess what questions you're gonna get in on the Hill, and you write little bullet responses, and it's great fun. Not really, but you have to do it. And I always write one on technical assistance. And for those of you who have ever read our annual report that we do and we post on the web, you'll see that we do a section on technical assistance. And I've said it, and I mean it, and I will continue to mean it. Our program works, and it works better than most any other program I've seen because we have a technical assistance component. They work together. They're companion pieces. It happens, technical assistance happens before, during, and after projects are built. And it's what keeps the whole thing going along. So we were very happy to be able to continue to provide technical assistance funding, almost $40 million this year, a big chunk of which came to rural water. And I feel good about the money we put here to the rural water associations. I know the benefit I get from it. I know the return I get from it is tangible. I can see it. I can count it. I can explain it. And so for that, I thank you. Thank you. We have a couple of examples. You know, circuit riders are great people. I love to come out and meet you when I get out into the States. And I'm always fascinated because sometimes people say, well, you require a certain number of visits. Is it just about checking a box on visits? And I say, no, you don't understand. You don't understand the concept. So I always like to have examples. And in Oregon this year, our Oregon Rural Water Association, Jeff Crowther, in June, went to help out a system, the John Day system, City of John Day. And it's interesting. You think, mostly when people think of circuit riders, they think, oh, there was a water loss or there was some disaster that happened. In this case, the system just had an operator who fell ill. And they had a new junior staffer who just wasn't capable of running the system. And so the circuit rider went in and helped the system run. He helped them run, but he took that opportunity to train the new person. So to me, that's going the extra mile. That's thinking beyond just today's immediate need and made that system more sustainable. In Mississippi, where am I, Mississippi? I know where Betty is. There they are. We've had similar experiences, and so I was calling this the Christmas miracle, right? So in Columbia, Mississippi, on December 23rd, they had some problems, and a tornado swept through there. Their sewage lagoons had issues and were leaking, and at 2:45 in the morning, Christmas Eve, all the power went on the system. And it's Christmas Eve, right? When you're a circuit rider, when you work for a rural water association, you don't get to care that it's Christmas Eve when somebody's systems goes out. You go and you help. And that's what they did. They went in, they helped, got the system back and running, helped this community at a tough time of year when all of the people in that neighborhood were counting on them. I think that's the most important thing that we feel in our program, that I know you feel every day. People are counting on you. They're counting on you. And Lord knows they tell you they're counting on you, right? They pick up the phone, What do you say, Charles? If it's the middle of the night, people are calling you and show up on your doorstep wanting to know why they can't get the service they want or something's gone wrong. It's awesome what you do. It's awesome. It's really great. And for me, you know, the way I explain it is you're not contractors working for the federal government. We're able to provide you funding to do what you do, but at the end of the day, even when there's not enough funding available, even when you're over your hours on the clock, you're in there helping. This is a network of neighbors helping neighbors, and we appreciate that so much. I want you to know that the rural development staff, the RUS team, is that same kind of group of people. You have that level of character with the staff who are there, and we're happy to support you. This year, gosh, you've been hearing me talk about for 5 years the Recovery Act. Guess what? Tomorrow is September 30th. I think we deserve a round of applause for implementing the Recovery Act fully. Yay! All of you do. How many people here did a Recovery Act project, right? 820 projects were completed under the Recovery Act funding, over $3 billion. Millions and millions of people are benefiting from these projects. All the funds are dispersed, and these projects are completed. There are a few little stragglers. But congratulations to you for 2 reasons. One, for knowing when to step up and take advantage of a good thing. Interest rates were super low. We had some extra grant money during that time. People who were ready got a good deal. And then you built them out. So people have service. Job done, awesome. $287 million were returned to the Treasury, or will be returned from the Treasury from our Recovery Act effort. And you might say, well, is that a good thing? And we say, well, some projects fell through. We had 854 to start with. So some projects didn't happen. Some projects decided not to move forward or move forward some other way. But mostly those dollars are in savings. You had a lot of projects, you had a really competitive environment, a lot of bids came in under. And so those dollars, as much as I want them back for our program, they don't come back to us because of the way the money came to us. But they will go back to the federal government and they'll get used elsewhere to reduce the debt and to fund other programs. But what that means is the projects you proposed, the projects you implemented were well thought out. Your engineers did a good job. The bidding environment worked, competitive market worked, right? Systems got built, came in on time and under budget in many cases. So congratulations to all of you for implementing the Recovery Act as well. Our portfolio remains strong. We've got over 16,000 loans, over 7,000 borrowers. Hopefully many of you are our borrowers in here. If you're not, we're going to talk to you in a minute. Less than 1/2% delinquency rate. Less than 1/2% delinquency rate. Awesome. And you've heard me, if you've been to one of the state association meetings where I've been, you know, I say over and over again, as much as we love the program that we implement, as much as we know we try to make it a quality program that produces good, solid loans for you and a good return on your taxpayer dollars, we know the strength of our portfolio is in large part due to the fact that we're lending to rural communities. Rural communities, when they make a commitment, honor their commitments. And that is really important. It's something that you don't get in every government program. So we feel confident, portfolio will remain strong. You know, despite the struggles in the economy, we have enough tools to help communities when they fall on hard times. We're looking for more tools in that regard, but we'll work with you. When I was in South Carolina, we talked about, you know, rural development. We don't want to just date you, right? We don't want to have coffee with you. We don't want to take you to dinner. We want to put a ring on it, right? We want a relationship with you, long term, long term. And you don't always have to borrow from us, although Kent Evans will tell you, we want you to borrow from us every time. We understand you've got to run your business however you need to run it. But we want you to know that when you do work with us, you are one of us, and you are our community, and we'll continue to work with you. We want the program to serve all of those people who need to be served. We want the program to be strong. We want that portfolio to stay as strong as we can, because that's the thing that gives Congress confidence in putting more dollars into this program. Our circuit riders, we talked about the $38 million. Large part went to rural water. I do want to talk a little bit about our product. It's a great product. This year, I talked a lot around the country to staff in rural development and reminded them a couple of things. One, that we have a terrific product. We have the longest terms in the industry, 40 years. Our interest rates are good. We have our 3-tiered interest rate, and starting October 1st, our interest rates are going down. So our poverty rate will be 2%, our intermediate's going to be 2.625, and our market rate's going to be 3.25. 3.25 for 40 years. It's a good time to borrow from us. It's a very good time. We expect that we will get similar funding next year from Congress. And we want you to expect a good experience from us. And we can only meet the mission that we are set to meet, that Congress and the administration tells us we need to meet, the mandate that comes from you and the constituents you serve, if you work with us, if you come to us, if you use us. That's the way the system continues. So we want you, if you haven't used rural development in a while, if you haven't worked with your local office, to do so. We know that customer service is key. We know that. And so we've been working very hard over the last year and a half, really, to improve that experience for you. So what are we doing? We're hiring new staff. A little over a year ago, I brought in Kent Evans. He's very shy. Just know if you do give him your number, he will call you. You know, I moved Scott Behringer up to the deputy, and he is making huge changes in the way we operate, and it's awesome. A few months ago, I stole Kelly Kubina from EPA, and she's an excellent addition, an excellent manager, and cares about rural, and we're excited to have her. We've hired Nicole Schindler, who's here with us today. We've hired specialists in the national office. I even got to hire an archaeologist. How many of you have ever gotten to hire an archaeologist? That's a cool thing to hire. They don't come in a little outfit. They don't come with their little, you know, duster. They don't, but it's an important job. For those of you who are in areas with a lot of cultural sensitivities, a good archaeologist in the national office to advocate for a fair process under the 106 is critical to you. I know it. I've lived it. I've seen it. And it was important to me that we had the resources we need. We're lucky that Administrator McBride has been supportive, and before him, Administrator Padalino, and we've been able to staff up. We're fortunate that Undersecretary Mensah has allowed the field to begin hiring as well. And so you'll see some new faces in the field. And we know sometimes those new faces don't know everything about the program, but guess what? We're training them. And what we've done in the last couple of years is we have changed the way we train our field staff. So instead of lecture style, when you come to a rural development class and you're a rural development employee, and some of our staff are here and they can attest to this, you got to bring a live project with you. It's an interactive class. And sometimes we ride along with you in the field. It's much more hands-on, and what's happening is people are getting mentoring and they're becoming better all around at what they do, getting back to the roots of what makes rural development unique, which is our ability to be out with you where you live, where you work. More outreach, more interaction, smarter working. So in addition, these folks are bringing in new ideas, right? We heard this morning from the speaker, a good leader has to, you know, lay off enough that, you know, people can come in with new ideas and not be micromanaged. And thankfully, I've got a staff of people who all have opinions. They all have ideas. They're not afraid to voice them. And it's a wonderful thing because we're bringing you streamlined programs, automation, all kinds of things that will make your life easier. This past year, we also tried some new techniques to jumpstart activity in a couple of our states. Is Texas rural water here? Maybe not. How about Georgia? There they are, my superstars. In Texas and Georgia, we decided we needed to amp up our efforts. We needed to not only move more money, but our staff needed to have some refresher training, and we went at it in total partnership with the rural water associations in those states. Jimmy and your staff, I cannot thank you enough in Georgia. Our Texas folks, you've been awesome. And as a result, Texas is #1 in the country, $162 million obligated this year in Texas. $162 million. Small team, given the resources, given the training, and given a mandate to up customer service, reduce processing times. And I'll tell you, you guys aren't shy either. When we went to Texas and we stood up and we said, in 45 days, if you give us a real PER, one that's really good, doesn't need a lot of changes, and a good application, we'll get you an offer. And in some cases, we beat that time. In other cases, we had a little bit of back and forth. But 50 projects in a year in one state, 50. It's doable. Now, what did Bill say? I nearly killed the staff during Recovery Act. We nearly killed our staff in Texas. But you know what? They're happy. They're happy. Is Hal here? Hal Nielsen? Where are you? Here's Hal. Stand up, Hal. Hal Nielsen is one of our specialists. He actually lives in Utah, but I think he spent enough time in Texas over the last year to get a driver's license, and maybe, he's renting a home there. And as hard as he's worked, and as many hours as he's worked, and as tired as I know he is, he's happier than I've ever seen him. And what that says to me is our people are so connected to the mission. As long as they're doing something that pushes that mission forward, they feel good. And for all of his efforts, Hal won our first ever Cornerstone Award this year for the water and environmental programs for it's a special award that the staff actually votes on, and it's not about producing numbers, although Hal's team did produce the most in Texas this year, the Southern team. It's more about the core values, same values that drive you: integrity, honesty, hard work, teamwork, those kinds of things. And it's about rewarding those who exhibit those characteristics every day. So thank you, Hal. We're also streamlining and automating. So last year we streamlined our Emergency Community Water Assistance Grant Program. Say that 10 times fast, or ECWAG, right? How many of you got an emergency grant in the last 2 years? Anybody in here? Well, you're missing out, no. You really don't want to be in a position to get an emergency grant because something bad's happened to you. But should you need one, should you run into a situation where you are facing an issue with the quality or quantity of your water, some natural disaster hits your community, this program's ready to serve you. It is streamlined. It is different, wholly different than how we've run it in the past. And we can turn around approvals in days, not months, days. We've worked out a balance with the FEMA issue. We've worked out a lot of the things that you said you wanted. It was done in conjunction with our field managers who talk to you every day and know what was not working in the system. And we've had a lot of success with it. In Alaska, I don't know if our Alaska people are here today. There you are. We just, on September 1st, issued our final rule for our new streamlined Rural Alaskan Village Grant Program. Several years ago, we worked out a proposed new process. We put it in an MOU. We've now codified it. That means it's done, but it's working. And instead of federal agencies arguing over who's doing what, we're building things. We're getting people water. We're getting people sewer service. It's a beautiful thing to see. And we, hopefully this year, will be issuing a new environmental reg, consolidated environmental reg. So don't get scared. It's a good thing. We're combining all of the rural development environmental regulations under one roof. We're expanding categorical exclusions. We're making the process easier to understand. And largely, you won't feel it. But a few of you may get to move a little faster through the process. And that's what we're hoping for you. We hope to bring that to you this year. And last, but certainly not least, is this. How about that? RD Apply. We're very excited to bring you electronic filing of our applications. Did any of you sit in on yesterday's session? I'm going to keep asking until at least all of you raise your hand once, right? So it was pretty cool, right? Who raised their hand? Was it easy? Very easy to use. Did it look intimidating? No. How many of you signed up for your e-auth ID yesterday? How many of you did it on your smartphone? How cool is that? USDA has come out of the dark ages. I mean, can you imagine? You can do things on your iPad, on your iPhone. You can file on your iPad. That's cool. And guess who's going to file today at 1 o'clock? Stand up, President Charles. So your president and I were sitting in South Carolina, and I was telling him about RD Apply. I asked him if he had any applications. He says he thought he might. And I said, well, good. Bring one to Oklahoma. So at 1 o'clock today, if you'd like to witness, you're welcome to come by. Room 16, we're going to be helping Charles file his application live online. It will be a real application. And what did you say? If you can do it, anybody can do it. It's an easy-to-use system. Our team, where's our RD Apply team? Stand up, RD Apply team. These guys have worked for several years to design something that gets us what we need and is easy for you to use. Simple as that. It should save you time, it'll save us time, it'll make it easier for us to underwrite, to process, to move you along, to make sure your projects are on track, and to really make the program stronger. I encourage you, if you have not been by room 16, between 11 and 5 today, go by. And guess what? They're not going to just talk at you. They're not going to lecture. You can sit down, put your hands on a keyboard, and play. You don't have to file something live, although if you have an application with you, or what did Christy say yesterday? Call your engineer. Have them send you a PER. We'll get you in the system. Now is the time to be a pioneer for RD Apply, because we are really anxious and encouraged to get people into the system and using it. We want you to use it, which means you're going to get a lot of extra assistance and extra attention. Maybe move a little faster, right? Take advantage of it. Low interest rates coming. Electronic filing with extra assistance. So for those of you who did not raise your hand that you've had a recent RD loan, now's the time. Now's the time to do it. We're continuing with our sustainability efforts, and a few years ago, our colleagues at EPA and USDA, we sat down together, we created this tool with your help. We are implementing workshops across the country. More than 1,000 rural systems have been through the workshop, and we've trained 1,600 partners to give the workshop. If you have not done the workshop, it's not a punitive thing. It's a tool for you. We're not going to demand that everybody do it, you know, but we'd like you to do it. Even if you're not borrowing from us, even if you're not participating in the program in other ways, take advantage of this tool. It's a good way. Remember the speaker this morning who said there's some questions that you can ask to start a dialogue going? That's what the tool is about. It's a framework that lets you go and begin to figure out where your weaknesses might be, where your strengths are, and where your next plan should be, because you know best. It doesn't end. When you are in charge of something as important as a water or waste system, it's like having a kid. It doesn't end. I'm 47 years old. My mother still checks on me every time I land in a different city, right? She's emailed me every day to see if there was an earthquake in Oklahoma. I've been able to report there are no earthquakes today, Mom, don't worry. But these systems are your children. These people that you serve are your family, and so it's important. It's important that you take the time, convince your boards, we'll help you convince your boards to sit down. If you're a board member, sit down and go through the exercise. It's worth your time. It's not a hard thing, and we can even make it fun, right? Our energy efficiency program, I was so happy to see that Rural Water gave Energy Efficiency Award today. That's pretty awesome. In 2014, we did a grant for $700,000. That translated to 238 audits in 2015. Over $2.6 million in savings annually will come from those audits. Awesome. And this year, Rural Water got $900,000 to do audits in 8 more states. So we're very happy. We're looking forward to more results for next year. If I had my way, if I were, what did you say, my reign, Bill? I like that. If I were queen, right? I would expand that program more than anything else because it gives you a practical, tangible result, something simple, things you can do without borrowing lots of money. Sometimes you might need to upgrade the system, but other times it's little things that you can do. It's thinking about for that next big upgrade and how you can be more energy efficient. We want you to incorporate as much of that in to reduce those costs, make you more sustainable from a financial perspective, which makes it easier for you to serve your customers. Sustainable systems, you know, that's the buzzword, but really it's just good systems that can run for a long time, right, with good management. And the new buzzword is resiliency, right? You're going to go to 1 million meetings on resiliency, and you'll get 1 million emails on resilient systems. What does that mean? Do you know what resiliency means? You just got to be ready when something happens to respond to it. Well, duh, right? That's what you guys do. But what's changed is the environment around a lot of systems. It's not everybody, but some people are in areas where, you know, here in Oklahoma, before 2000, they didn't have the kind of ice storms they're having now. They didn't build systems to be prepared for the level of freezing that's occurring. And now those systems have to be ready for that when they do the next build, but they have to be ready when those weather fronts come in. That's what we mean by resiliency, at least for our program. And that's what we want you to be thinking about. So we'll be talking about that a lot in the year ahead. In our Emergency Community Assistance Grant Program, or ECWAG, we did 51 projects this year, 51. Over $14 million went out to help systems. Much of that went out for states that are struggling with drought. Some of it, though, went out for flooding, wildfire states, freezing conditions, tornadoes. The program is there and will continue to be there. In our upcoming budget, we asked for additional monies from Congress. We'll see if they give it to us to support this program. Because we're finding, guess what? Once we streamlined it and made it easier to participate, people who needed the program but just didn't want to go through the red tape actually are coming in and using it. The conditions have gotten more severe out west, and so the drought applications have been pouring in. So we've asked for a little more help from Congress, and hopefully they'll be able to provide that for us. You heard the administrator yesterday. I would encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to go online and look at the hearing, I think it's posted. It was amazing to see. I've been in the government game for 25 years. It's rare to go to a hearing, especially when one administration is in front of a house that is the opposite party, and have them start every question off with a compliment about the agency. And a number of those compliments were about water. They love the water program, they love you, they love what's happening. That's unheard of. It's unheard of. And a lot of that is just what you do every day. It's great. We have good support on both sides of the aisle. We expect we'll be in fairly good shape. We have some new programs that we are implementing, the 60-25 priority. How many of you might be part of a regional effort? Regional plan, broader than just water even, right? Hospital systems, water, electric, bigger regional business plan for an area, development plan. Starting in October, we'll be setting aside funds. In our plan, under the statute, we're allowed to set up to 10% aside. We're going to set aside 10% of our loan funds and about 5% of our grant to keep that same balance that we normally do from loan to grant. And for your projects who qualify under the new rule, you not only get extra points, but you get access to this money until June 30th. There's hot competition. We funded our first 3 at the end of the year. There are 3 more. I just ran out of money. and couldn't fund, and they're waiting in the wings for when that money comes in. And so it's an opportunity. For those of you who haven't used our programs, if you haven't heard anything else, I hope you take away that there's lots of opportunity for you. Lower interest rate, long terms, extra priority for regional projects that meet the conditions. It's a good time. It's a really, really good time. In closing, I just want everyone who works for rural development in the room to stand up. This is our team. Even all the way back there. We've got folks here from Mississippi and Missouri, Oklahoma, and then of course my national office staff. And when you hear national office, a lot of times people think about DC and all the people who sit in DC. Most of my staff doesn't live in DC. It's great. Not that I don't want to see you guys all the time, but we try to spread people across. We're a digital world. We're a digital environment. My folks telework, and they do a good job. We have phones that automatically forward. We have seamless customer service. You know, Jim Weir, he used to live in Washington State, now in South Dakota, right? But we try to cover every time zone, so there is somebody who can serve your needs and the needs of our state offices at any time of the day. We still work on Alaska. For our Alaska folks, mostly they call me in the middle of the night, but it works out okay. And before I finish, I just want to say congratulations to Jim. Is Sherry with you? So Jim and his wife-to-be are here this week. They fell in love in rural development. Never say government isn't a loving place. And we want to congratulate them. They're two wonderful professionals, great public servants who work their butts off and, quite frankly, deserve a lot of happiness. So I want to say congratulations on your upcoming wedding. And for you, what I'd like to say is, we're rural development. Get to know us again, love us again. We're here in force this year. I've got 10 of my staff here. We've got some staff from other states. We have nearly 80 years of success serving you, working with you, side by side. We're committed to our mission, and our goal is to make life in rural America the best it can be, the best, which means we're not done. Got a lot left to do. And we're working harder than ever to make that mission a reality. So come try us out, right? How many of you are encouraged to go try RD Apply? How many of you will take a loan? Ken, are you taking names? He's like. Visit with one of these folks. If you don't visit with them today, call your local office. If you feel like you're not getting the response you want or the feedback you want, we're happy to connect with those offices and really encourage them. You can call us. We can't always give you more grant. I know I get a lot of those calls, but we do want to serve you, and it is a good time. I want to thank you for today. I want to remind you, don't miss out, right? And keep doing what you're doing. Thank you very much. Okay. So, it's always dangerous to take questions, but I'm going to do it if you have any questions for me. And be kind. You think I should tell them that? Yes. I think you just told them that. Say it again.
You're the rural water people, and you're out there. Wow, I don't need this, Bill. So at a minimum, you should at least go and get your ER. So when you're out there, and they're going to be afraid of the system, but you shouldn't be. And you should say, let me show you. And when they give you a permission, you can then file their application on their behalf. So at least go by room 16 and take 5 minutes and get your ER. We need that.
Other questions? Comments? Want to say something good? You want to tell a joke? No? Gosh. There you go. I could, but I don't have my list in front of me. There are about 5 conditions, and they largely have to do with being part of a larger economic development plan for the region. We do have a fact sheet on it, and you know what we'll do? We'll get that fact sheet to rural water, and you guys can put it right on your website for all your members. How about that? Does that work? You're welcome. Other questions? You're just anxious to get to RD Apply? Charles has a question. Yes, you still have to apply at 1 o'clock.
I have something to say to both Jackie and our membership. I know everybody looks at me as the mild-mannered man that's real quiet and shy and never has much to say, and I realize that I'm always that way. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I've really gotten to know USDA at the DC level very well, I think, and I've had a lot to say to Jackie about what I perceived as problems in the federal government. Sometimes these were not always complimentary. Sometimes it was not an attaboy. Sometimes it might have been even downright ugly. Jackie, I personally thank you. I know moving to federal government is not easy. It takes years. As I see these programs rolling out for us, rural water family, for your staff to step up to the plate to help us in making this process easier. I've been doing this for 40 years. I want to personally thank you, USDA, your staff, and all the way up to the Secretary for trying to help us in moving this process forward. And I'll try to be nicer next time I'm personally in your office and say thank you. But I do mean that from the bottom of my heart.
I appreciate it.
They have listened. They have listened.
Okay, my mom always said, end on a high note, so I'm going to end on a high note, and I'll look forward to talking to any of you who are here. I'm here through till tomorrow morning, and our staff is here. Most of us will be in room 16 for RD Apply. What do they say? You know, you got to say something 7 times before people actually hear it. RD Apply, room 16. We'll see you there. Thank you.